Are we going to let them transform our children into robots? Oh, of course we're not, because MAGA is strong.
Andy, where is the beef?
Where's the beef? Is that are you talking about our beef? What is it? President Trump is now allowing like 300 million pounds of beef to come in untariffed or something ridiculous like that.
Is it 300 million?
300 something, 300 billion. I don't know. It was a large amount. Which
Where are we getting this beef from, Andy?
so he framed that. His tweet said, "I've just struck a deal to bring in beef," and he didn't say bring it in. He just said he struck a deal to lower beef prices by 25%. Turns out he did not strike a deal with anybody. He basically took the tariffs off three countries, it seems like. We think it's Brazil, Argentina, and there was one other country. I can't remember what it is. But that we don't even know for sure because the reporter asked him which countries we were getting this from, and he flat out said, "I don't want to tell you." But his deal to drop beef prices by 25% is that he's taking the tariffs off, but he still claims that the tariffs don't cause an increase in prices. Figure that one out for me.
Okay.
He's an idiot.
Yes. So here's an interesting tidbit. China just rejected 22 tons of beef
From where?
from Argentina.
We actually sent back some Argentina beef a couple months ago, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
They they rejected it because there were trace amounts of chloramphenicol.
okay,
Chloramphenicol? It's an
sure.
antibiotic banned in animals for food production. It's highly restricted in the United States, causes blood disorders like aplastic anemia, which causes bone marrow failure, bone marrow toxicity, gray baby syndrome, and a host of other things.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that's where we're getting our stupid beef from.
Well, don't forget the FDA like really rolled back food inspections, which I saw a list today of all the major recalls that have happened in the past 6 months, and it's ridiculous. It's a lot of them that just flew under the radar. Right now, there's a pastrami recall, I guess. I haven't heard about that. But we stopped doing inspections. What do you know? We're having a lot of foodborne illness problems. And then also on the beef thing, way back, like a year ago, President Trump announced a deal where we were going to bring in however many millions or billions of pounds of Argentina beef, and like the farmers and the ranchers got pissed here in America. They said that
Yeah.
he was screwing them over, and then he kind of smoothed that over, and now he's choosing to do this again right before the midterms. Like foolish. Tonight's the whole theme of tonight is going to be like, I can't believe he decided to restart this stupid thing right now, 2 months before the midterms, because he's doing it on a couple different fronts. But he's pissed off
Oh,
the cattle ranchers now, so good luck to him.
yeah, and he's trying to make up for the cattle ranchers by getting rid of these horses.
Man, so and I didn't pull anything on that, and I want to not spend too much time on it till next time we can pull it. But for anybody not paying attention, we're rounding up like wild horse packs in America. I didn't know we had so many wild horses, but apparently all
It's horses and burros, and it's 45,000 of them.
well, they're rounding them up using helicopters right now,
Yeah.
and there's a rule they're protected by the government, so we can't harm them. But apparently the loophole, which it was like, oh, they found a loophole. The loophole is so stupid. Basically, if the US government rounds them up and sells them to somebody, then it doesn't matter what that person does with it. So it appears there's a handful of places where we're selling these and we're basically unloading them off one truck and then that person's loading them straight onto another truck and they're going to slaughter. So we're slaughtering America's prized wild horse packs right now.
Yeah, and this
What?
happens sometimes. Like ranchers don't like them because the ranchers say that they eat too much of the wild grasses and stuff
Okay.
cows are supposed to graze on in this land that they rent, right?
Mhm.
So so the ranchers do that. And they round them up sometimes and they sell them off. And then people do sell them for slaughter in other countries, right?
Yep.
But
Apparently
there's
they're going to
still
Canada for slaughter.
yeah, because Canadians, Japan, there's a couple of countries that eat horse for some reason.
Okay.
Uh, I've
I
heard
from
it's tasty. I don't know.
from what I heard, most of like what goes on in Canada is it gets turned into like dog food and stuff, is what I've heard.
Mm.
What I read.
No, they have horse. They eat like in
Yeah.
restaurants and stuff.
The thing is, horses have a personality. Like there's no way to try to explain it, but like dogs. Like if you hear that a candidate, like which that's one that Tallarico's pulling on Ken Paxton in Texas right now. Apparently, Ken Paxton allowed some kind of animal trials to happen where animals were tortured and killed, a dog specifically in Texas. And
Yeah.
like if you hear that one of the candidates allowed the torturing of dogs, like that pulls at your heartstrings. If it was like a lot of other animals, we wouldn't care, but dogs we care. Horses, for some reason, also count there. Like people don't like to hear that horses and dogs are being slaughtered.
Well, they're pets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody
But
wants
like
to see a horse die. But cows have personalities too.
I was gonna say if it was a cow or a pig, it wouldn't matter. But like as soon as I saw that we were slaughtering wild horses, like I couldn't believe it. But if I saw, hey, we're slaughtering a bunch of cows, I would be like, all right, well, that's an average Tuesday in America. Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So
Ugh.
anyhow, well,
It's
I will.
crazy.
I'll try to because there's more reporting coming out on that daily. So we'll kind of wait and see what continues to come out on that. But I do want to talk about that next time.
Well, I've got another little bit of information on that.
Okay.
Is it cost about $1,700 per animal for them to round them up, train them, get them ready for sale, and we sell them for 25 to $125.
I was gonna see if you because I saw a thing where there was they figured out one place where we had sold truckloads to, and this guy, I guarantee you it's gonna turn out this is like a Trump donor or somebody that's making money off of this, but they're buying them from the American government for $25 a horse, and then selling them for like upwards of 500 a horse to the slaughterhouse because it's
Yeah.
by the pound, I guess. So
But it's costing
somebody,
us $1,700 per
yeah,
horse.
and then some billionaire outside of government is making all this money. So it fits
So,
totally in with everything happening right now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So totally ridiculous.
So anyhow,
Okay.
did you happen to watch the I think it's Formula One? What do you call it? Like the IndyCar style racing? Did you watch the one that happened in DC this weekend?
The only thing I saw was like Trump and Melania were sitting there, and then Homegirl showed up, and then Melania and Trump got in a fight, and then Melania stormed out, and Trump went back to the White House with the printer girl.
Yeah, the human printer. What's funny, okay, there's several things funny about the race. First, I do want to say real quick, like I saw some clips of it and it looked cool. Like there's a part of me that wishes Trump wasn't involved in it in any way, shape, or form. Because it was neat to see Indy cars like turn the corner right in front of Congress and head towards the White House. Like it was kind of neat. Now, Trump has this ability to take something that should be kind of neat for the whole country and make it all about himself, which he did it again this weekend. And it's like, just stop making it about you, man. Like he drove the beast, the presidential limo across the finish line before the race, and then the Air Force One did a flyover while he was doing that, and then he got to wave the green flag, which I have video of and is hysterical, by the way. But what
Okay.
you're talking about,
I'm not mad at that, honestly. I mean, if Obama did the same thing, like we'd be
so
like, that's cool, Obama.
give me a chance to present this to you, and then tell me
Okay.
if you find it to be ridiculous or not. So hold on that.
Okay.
But what you're talking about with Natalie Harp, so at one point there's a clip that I didn't pull where the camera operator for I guess Fox was zoomed in like across the track on Trump and Melania, and they were like looked like they were arguing. The body language was that they were not getting along. And then there's a guy from the Secret Service like down below the little like the riser that they're on filming, and he's yelling at them to get the camera off the president right away. You turn the camera any which way, just get it off the president. And you can tell he's got an earpiece in. He's hearing from somebody that hey, the president and the first lady are fighting, and everybody's recording this. So he's trying to get everybody to turn the cameras away. I didn't pull that, but yeah. As soon as Natalie showed up, Melania went and left, and then Trump rode back in the limo with Natalie Harp. And what's weird is I was thinking about this about a week ago. Melania's been AWOL for a couple months. Like there'll be periods of time where you'll just realize I haven't seen Melania in months, and then she'll show back up. The Natalie Harp story came out last week, and miraculously, suddenly Melania showed back up.
The
Um,
last time that we saw Melania was she made that really weird speech talking about how she had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein.
I am not a victim of Epstein or something. Yeah, it was out of the blue. Like that was a weird one. And then she just
Yeah.
went away. Apparently, people were talking about it today, but apparently she pretty much lives in New York and they just like the press has kind of agreed not to make a big deal out of it. Like, which I don't mind that. Like back in the day, like the president's family was kind of off limits. That all changed with the Clinton administration, by the way. Chelsea Clinton became a target for like Fox News in the very beginning days of Fox News.
Yeah.
And since then, that set off a deal now where like presidential families are on limits. I don't like
Yeah,
that.
but I don't remember them doing that to GW's daughters. Like they got in a couple
Uh,
of things because they were partying in Austin and stuff,
exactly.
but
That
like,
that's every time they got spotted at a party where there was alcohol and there was underage drinking, you'd see that online. So
yeah,
the thing is, like CNN tries to say they're the middle ground, but they're a little lefty. But MSNBC, better example, like they don't have, I'm gonna say, the guts or the poor taste, whatever you want to call it, where like they don't waste a lot of time talking about that. Whereas Fox News will capitalize if one of the Obama daughters like was caught doing something wrong. Like they won't stop talking about it. MSNBC's, they're like, oh, we're above that. What's changed is YouTube and all the Majority Report and
sure.
Kyle Kalinske and all, like they will go after that stuff. So that's kind of forced MSNBC to talk about it now.
Yeah, I haven't seen much about Barron though.
Barron has got a special pass. I don't know what the deal is with that, but like Barron's off limits. I don't know. If it was a
Kind of
Democrat's
weird.
kid, something tells me Fox News would not be laying off the family, but we'll
Yeah.
see. So when it comes to the waving the green flag, so at the beginning of the race, here I got a clip for it. Try at the beginning of every race, somebody stands in like they kind of in a box up over the finish line, and you lean out over the track and wave the flag. Well, Trump was in a glass box, so I was wondering how this was going to work out because bulletproof, they don't want assassins or whatever. So watch the video real quick of him waving the green flag to start the race.
Building, they will round turn one. They will see the green flag waved by President Trump.
Green, 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 green.
We have green. We are racing in the Freedom 250. Alex Palou with.
Okay.
First of all, I don't know what goofy face he was making there. Like I don't know what word to use to describe the look on his
I've never
face.
seen him that happy, to be
But
honest.
the way he was waving it was also just odd. But I was wondering, and I checked it out. Apparently, there was a real person with a green flag out on the track waving it for them. What Trump did was strictly for the American people. Okay. Secondly, let's talk about this. And I think somebody, maybe a podcast or comedian, has talked about this before. But we're treating him like a Make-A-Wish kid. I think it was Jon Stewart that brought this up. But like, do
Yeah.
you want to or you want to wave the green flag? Here you go, sport. And like he does it and everybody claps for him. And he like, you can see that he's to himself. He's like, I did a good job there. And it's
Do
like,
you want
dude,
$4 billion?
you're 80 years old. And we let him get inside the garbage truck and honk the horn. And remember that?
Uh,
And he got so giddy about that. We bring him all these gifts. We give him prizes that are made up. And he's like, FIFA World Peace Prize. Like, the way that they treat him should be embarrassing to him and his family. Like he's an 80-year-old man. He's not a Make-A-Wish kid. This is getting ridiculous. Also, there was a video of when they handed him the green flag, he couldn't figure out what end to hold. One end has a stick coming out of it, the other one doesn't, and they had to tell him which end to hold. This
okay.
happened. Anyhow, now it's even creepier when you see that nobody in the cars could see him waving the green flag. Okay, he was not only was he in behind bulletproof glass, but he wasn't anywhere near the window. He was it was all a 4 TV production. Check it out.
Mm. He got a really long applause for waving that flag.
He did a good job. You did a good job, President
Good
Trump.
job, Trump! Yay!
That's just again, he should be
They
embarrassed.
are treating him like a child.
They're treating him like he's treating him like a 4-year-old with cancer, and they're gonna let him wave the green flag because he's been a strong boy. You've been really courageous.
Well, he acts like a 4-year-old.
Again, if he
He probably
doesn't,
threw a temperature. I want to wave the green flag. I want to wave the green flag.
it's so embarrassing. He might not be. I don't know what the right word would be. He might not realize that he should be embarrassed about this, but the people around him should be. Somebody should put a stop to this because it looks foolish. But okay, cool.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then one other thing, real quick, that's a follow up from last week. Natalie Harp, we mentioned her, the human printer. Do you remember that there was the story of her supposedly running after him on a golf course in Scotland, like for all 18 holes? She just
Oh, yeah.
jogged behind his cart because she wanted to be
I
close
think
to
we
him.
talked about it for like 30 minutes on the last
Dude.
episode.
So the New York Times claims they have video of this, but nobody's seen that video. Well, people on the right were basically saying, no, the New York Times is lying about this. So the New York Times released a still photo from the video. I think that they're playing this really smart. They're going to wait till the president says they're lying, and then they're going to release the video, I have a feeling. But we do have a still shot of this, and it's kind of hysterical.
I like that. I like that move because that's that's a good
That
move though because if if they just release the video, then Trump will be like, "That's AI," right?
they're baiting him into to basically saying calling them liars, and then they're going to make him look stupid. I just this is my theory. I don't know this is happening, but if you look at this picture, the zoomed in version on the right, you can see that she's smiling as she's full stride. Nobody else is running. Look at the big picture. Everybody's in a cart but Natalie Harp, who is running after the president. And she did that for 4 hours, 18 holes. This
I
is
mean,
some weird
her
behavior.
move should have been like, "Yeah, I like to run. I exercise. I just wanted to run the course with."
I'll bet it wasn't because so we got to see two of the letters that she wrote him because we keep hearing about these love letters, and the two that we got to see directly had to do with this day. And the first one was her apologizing for running after him, and she was like, "I'm sorry if I was embarrassing running after your cart all day." And then it was pretty long, but at one point she's like, I keep forgetting to sleep and eat this week, and blah blah blah." It was really weird overall. Like the two
Yeah.
letters made me think this is even weirder than I did before. She keeps
Oh no,
forgetting to
she's a
sleep and eat.
psychopath. She's
Dude.
obsessed, which is scary that she has that much access to Donald Trump, the president of the United States, and she's basically a stalker.
One, this we talked about it last time, but the Secret Service apparently told people they were worried about her. They thought she was a security risk being near him because they don't know what she's going to do. On top of that, when this all first came out, Republicans in unison, like it was choreographed, all came out and said, "Well, Donald Trump saved her life because he signed the right to try in 2018, and she had bone cancer, and she's alive today because of him." And that was what they kept saying. Turns out that's all a lie too. It's a lie she's been telling everybody. I think most of the Republicans believed her, but it turns out she got cured of her bone cancer a couple months before he ever signed that bill, and the drug that she used to beat her cancer was already allowed. It's not something that the right to try suddenly allowed to be used. So
Uh,
she was cancer free, and we have her Twitter. She announced when she was cancer free, and it was like 4 months before Donald Trump even signed right to try.
uh,
So anyhow, so she's full of shit there. And then secondly, she didn't have a security clearance through over a year of him being in the White House. She finally got one recently, but in the story it said she declined to apply for her security post. Like they asked her and she was like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to do it." Well, you don't get to decline. Like somebody that's running the White House should have said, "Hey, sir, this woman keeps saying no when we try to do her background check." That that
that's
should have been
weird.
yeah. It's all very weird. And I'm not saying she's a spy or anything. I'm just saying if you got somebody working in the White House that is basically like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to do the security clearance thing," that's alarming. That should be rectified right away, is kind of the thought there. So anyhow, that's all I have funny for a minute. We're gonna get back to something that'll make you feel good, but something happened today that we need to get to real quick.
Breaking news. The Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration to proceed with plans to restrict mail-in voting. Oh, this clears for now an executive order that creates citizenship lists and directs the Postal Service to decide who gets a mail-in ballot.
This
Oh,
is
he's weaponizing the Postal Service?
so it's the DHS and the Postal Service. So here this so first of all, this we should all be alarmed for real. The whole point in our elections is that they're not federally run. They're decentralized. It makes it harder for somebody to hijack an election. The Constitution specifically states how we do our elections. Donald Trump is obsessed right now with federalizing the elections, which any other time in history, the Republican would want the federal government to have as little to do as possible with everything that happens, including our elections. But for some reason, right now, this is backward. But it's not a straight up win on this. What the Supreme Court said today is they said, "Hey, the states don't have standing to bring this lawsuit to try to stop it because they haven't been hurt yet." It's so stupid, but they said they haven't demonstrated how this ruling has hurt them at all. Now, once it does hurt them, they can come back and we'll rule on this. But as of now, it has not been enacted. Therefore, nobody has been disenfranchised through this. And to be able to file a suit, you have to prove that there's been some harm done. That's what they're saying. Now, scary because this his whole goal has been just to throw a monkey wrench in the midterms, like just to cast a shadow of a doubt. And what's going to happen now is tomorrow probably they're going to come out with how they're going to implement this, and then throughout that, the whole deal with this, the rule was the U.S. Post Office will only deliver mail-in ballots in states where the state has agreed to turn over its full voter rolls to the government. If the state won't turn over its full voter rolls, then the U.S. Post Office ain't carrying it. And every Democratic state and like 15 Republican states said, no, we're not doing that. We don't want the federal government to have our federal.
Can't you request the voter rolls?
So there's public side. Almost every state you can get the public side, but that just says like a name and maybe a county or a city or something like that. It's very limited information. Whereas what
addresses.
they want your address, social security number, they want everything to be able to verify that you are a citizen. So they don't want to leave it up to the states to verify that. So this could very well still end up where the Supreme Court says, no, we can't do this. But the only way we can get to that point is for it to get put into action, for it to harm somebody, meaning it'll take away somebody's right to vote pretty much. And then the suit can be brought, which will be too late. Then we'll be, oh, we've already had voting. Like, for instance, you're in Colorado and your ballot normally shows up, what, a month before election day, or how long?
Yeah, a month. Yeah, 2 weeks to a month before voting day. Yeah.
So ballots for you are going out in the next 5 or 6 weeks,
I think
realistically?
So. Yeah, probably.
Okay. Well, if this all tries to play out while ballots are supposedly going out, because right now I believe Colorado is one of the states that has refused to hand over its voter rolls. So if you think you're getting a mail or a ballot in the mail here soon, you ain't getting it. Like the U.S. Post Office.
Hold on. Here's what's even scarier, because I can go and if I don't get a ballot in the mail, I'm gonna go to vote, right? I'm gonna go to the polls and I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna cast my vote. But what happens if I vote and the post office decides not to deliver it back to the voter registration? Then I think I voted. I don't go to the polls.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother ballgame right there.
Yep. This is going to throw a whole it's going to murky the waters around the whole midterms, and I think that's what he's been wanting to do from the start, and I think he's going to get his wish. So, and at the Supreme Court, this has been up for them to decide now for a couple months. Like, hey, the election's coming up we're just a little over 2 months out from the midterms. Like, either you needed to make this decision a couple months ago, so we had time to figure out what we're doing going into this, or if we're this close, you need to sit on it and wait till after the midterms. Like, you can't release an election-related ruling this close to the midterms, but they did, and it was party line.
Hold on. You can't vote in a Supreme Court justice this close to the midterms.
They did that anyway, yeah. So anyhow, it's a little ridiculous. On that, real quick, heading into the midterms, Donald Trump, you would think right now the economy, kitchen table issues, gas price of groceries, price of healthcare, like these are the things that Donald Trump needs to be hurrying to try to figure out how to fix. Like Iran, I don't think he can do anything about. We're going to talk about, we did a economic D-Day on Iran, according to Bessent, starting today. It turns out it was a little bit of a dud, but that we've got a Canada lack of a trade deal. We're going back up to 50% tariffs on them. We're going to save that. By the way, I learned from two of our listeners in the past couple of days separately that they don't like it when we talk about how bad the economy is and how like doom and gloom it looks for the future. It makes them want to turn it off. So I'm saving that for the end of the episode tonight. I know it's only 2 people, but based off the last month or so, that's 10% of our audience right there.
Wait, they don't want to hear about how bad the economy is?
It's depressing. Yeah, depressing.
Well, yeah, it's depressing, but we need to know how bad the economy.
For that reason, I'm saving it for the end, okay? Just to see.
The title of this is going to be "The Economy is Bad."
We're gonna know. I got a better title, and it's where we're heading next. But real quick, on the midterms, we're messing around with tariffs again. Iran, economic D-Day. Also, Donald Trump has been going to rallies now. They said they were going to get him out ahead of the midterms, and he has been out. He was in South Carolina for Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene. By the way, I didn't pull that clip, but they asked her if she thought the Taiwan and the South China Sea was a security issue for America. And she was like, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a politician. I don't know anything about that. I just support our troops. And it's like, she's going to win too. Like she's going to win.
Oh yeah. She's probably the most unqualified person to be a senator, and she's going to win.
100%. And then,
yeah, it's Kentucky, right?
No, it's South Carolina.
South Carolina, you guys are idiots. If you vote her in, I'm never visiting South Carolina ever.
Whoever Trump's endorsing is going to win, and Trump's endorsing her. But also, J.D. Vance and Trump have been going to Maine to rally for Susan Collins, who has yet to show up at one of their events. Like normally, if the president flies to Maine to do a rally for Susan Collins is going to be in there, and he's going to introduce her and bring her up on stage. She has been a no-show at all. She's trying to distance herself from Trump and J.D. 2 rallies by J.D. and 1 by Trump. No Susan Collins in the building. So
Did she say she was going to be there?
nope. I think I'll bet money. I didn't see it, but I'll bet she said, "Oh, it was just a scheduling conflict." No, if the president's coming, you make yourself available. She doesn't. She's trying to not be tied to Trump heading into this because the people of Maine don't like Trump. So
So they came and said, "Hey, like we're going to make a reality for you."
and she said, "Sorry, I'm busy." It's what it seems like. It's what it seems like happened. So
That's awesome. Okay.
but at these rallies, Trump has been talking about a couple different things. First of all, one of them, the polling for him across the board, even the right wing polls, Fox News, Rasmussen, it's all bad. But he had a tweet. The radical left Democrats are going crazy with the fake polls. They're putting them out at levels never seen before. They're called demoralization operations, where they try to demoralize Republicans so that they don't go out and vote. But the actual polls are tremendous. And in the spirit and the spirit in our country has never been higher. We are winning against everyone, including Iran, whose country is in economic and military death spiral. Thank you for your attention. So all the polls are fake, and the Democrats are purposely putting these out to try to Republicans don't even go vote because he doesn't have a chance, is what he's claiming. The real polls are great. Now, all the reporting is that his campaign's internal polls are just as bad. So I don't know if he's lying or if they're lying to him, but either way, he's trying to sell us on the fact that everything's great. And on that note, let's hear him say how good he's doing with the economy. Because Joe Biden spent time trying to convince everybody that no, you're all wrong, and the economy's quite good right now. We saw how that worked for Joe Biden. You would think that was only 2 years ago. You would think everybody would have learned a lesson from watching Joe Biden and the Democrats try to tell people how good it really is. Donald Trump did not learn this lesson.
Numbers are great. No, they have such fake polls. So we have the greatest economy in our history. Now, some people haven't seen it yet, but they will because the job numbers are so good. They will. But we have the greatest poll numbers that I've ever had. We have the greatest economy that I've ever had. We had one of the greatest economies in history in my first term. This is blowing it away. But then I'll see a poll and they'll say Trump is at 44% on the economy. How can it be at 44? We have more people working now than ever before, and I'm at 44%. No, I'm at 30 points. Maybe I should be at 100% on the economy. But you're going to see it in a short period of time. And the prices are all coming down. John McLaughlin, the great pollster, he's one of the greats, just told me that if you ran today, nobody could come close to you. Nobody would be within 20 points. I believe that's right. Likewise, a great Tony Fabrizio, a great pollster, he said the same thing. He said nobody could come close to beating you.
What? I don't know if they're lying to him or if he's lying to us, but right there, he said, we have the greatest job numbers. That's the worst. Like inflation's been, bad, but the job numbers are the glaring thing that's been horrible since Liberation Day. The job numbers are negative. Like it hasn't been good every month.
But we brought this up last time where they're saying that it's because they're getting rid of illegal immigrants.
Yeah, because
we don't need as many jobs now because
exactly. That's what they're saying. But job and the amount of people that are leaving the workforce, just people that are giving up and saying, never mind, I don't work. That number is skyrocketing. That's something they pay attention to. He said job numbers are great, which is not true. The poll numbers are great, which is definitely not true. He said, yeah, they try to tell me I'm at 44%. Dude, he wishes he was at 44%. There's not a poll that has him. He's somewhere between 30 and 36%, depending on what poll you look at. I guess the average would be about 33, 34% is where he's sitting. And he's complaining. He's like, I can't believe they're saying I'm at 44%. 44 would be an improvement from where he's currently at. The one thing he said there that is the one truth he said is he said more people are working today in America than at any other point in our country's history. That's true. And that number goes up every year because our population is growing. So every year, more people are working this year than ever before in our history because we're growing as a country. So he can't really take credit for that, but it is true. And then he said prices are coming down. And JD Vance, both of his speeches are saying like the dream of being able to own a home again is now coming true under Trump, and grocery prices are coming down. They're all lies. Like the housing market's worse off now than it was a year and a half ago. Inflation's sitting at 3.4. Grocery inflation's at like 4.3 specifically. Like everything they're saying about the economy is like, it's not an opinion. It's black and white. Like here it is on paper. Here's what the number is. He's lying, but they just have no shame. They're just going to say it.
It's so sad. It's just sad that like these are the people that are running our country and they're stealing from us, they're ruining our public lands, and they're just blatantly lying to us about it all.
Yeah, the blatant lying, like, and Republicans always do the, well, all politicians lie. Okay, yeah, true. No, all politicians spin. And you could say there's a distinction without a difference there. I get it, a spin versus a lie. But
Yeah.
like, what it's insulting almost how like obvious and blatant the lies are that come out of the Trump administration, where it's like, hey, at least try to trick us. Like, have a little respect for us here, but they just don't.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah, and
odd.
but people believe him. That's the thing. That's the only reason he can continue to lie is some people actually believe what they're saying.
And I think that we're starting to see holes in that now, though, because like with the Iran war, like I live in MAGA country and I talk to MAGA voters all the time. I haven't had anybody try to argue with me that no, we're actually winning the Iran war. Like I have not had that yet.
Oh no.
Now I do have a clip in a little bit of somebody trying to make that argument, but as far as the everyday people I talk to, like they all admit Iran's not going well. They also all admit gas prices are high and it's bad for them. Those are two areas, and it seems like a small thing, but like those are two areas where I can't find anybody defending Trump on that or trying to act like it's not really happening, which is a big deal. In the first term, there was I'm going to say nothing that they were willing to go against Trump on. And now there's a couple things. So we take baby steps. There's a couple things. We'll see if we can keep expanding it.
Okay. Okay.
So anyhow, the thing I'm excited to show you tonight, the candidate in Michigan, I believe his name is Abdul El Sayed, the Michigan Senate Democrat candidate.
Mhm.
I don't know a lot about him. He won his race against Haley Stevens, who is like the centrist corporate Democrat candidate. And they kept trying to say he was DSA. And I've seen some videos of him where he's like, no, I'm a capitalist. I'm not DSA, but he is for healthcare for all and a couple other DSA type things. But he makes it a point to say he's a capitalist. It seems like everybody, left and right, agrees. Democrats probably messed up here. Like Michigan was very winnable, but they went out and got somebody too far left. So even a lot of Democrats are kind of writing off Michigan right now. Like, he's too far left. Mike Rogers will beat him. I don't know a lot about the guy. So I just hear that and I go, okay, it must be true because I don't live in Michigan and I'm not paying attention to it.
I know the lefties are super stoked on him.
They are, and it's going to come down to what percentage of the left is the lefties versus the corporate Democrats. But also, can he get out there and like Bernie Sanders? We talked about this several times, including I think the last one. But like, I kind of wasn't cool with all the Bernie Sanders stuff he wanted to do until he went on Joe Rogan and explained what he wants to do and how easily it can be done. And I suddenly bought in, and Democrats are bad at doing that. So Abdul El Sayed needs to get out there and talk to the people. Whether he needs to go on places like Joe Rogan or go on Fox News or places like that and tell everybody what it is he wants to do, and maybe even some moderate people won't think it's that bad. Luckily, Jesse Waters exists. Jesse Waters thought he could bring Abdul El Sayed onto his show tonight and prove what a socialist communist he is. Spoiler, it didn't go well for Jesse Waters. I saw a lot of clips of this, and I could have pulled many of them. I only pulled two. The first one, we're talking about taxing the rich here, and I thought Abdul did a really good job of like. First of all, I've told you like the whole tax the rich thing is taking off. Like the approval numbers on that are going up and up. Like people who were not for that a year ago are suddenly looking around going, yeah, the billionaires are getting too good a deal here. We need to do something about this. Jesse Waters tried to confront him on this. Check it out.
What are you going to do with more money? I mean, whatever I want.
I mean, Jesse, I don't know how much you make.
I'm
Look, I don't know how much
not
you
a
make,
billion.
but I think I'd rather have. Well, yeah, look, so that's exactly it, right? The question ultimately is, do you want to drive on good roads, or would you rather have a billionaire make a second billion? That's what Mike Rogers wants. That's what Donald Trump wants. Apparently, that's what you want. I think the people in Michigan want something different. They want good roads and good schools.
So
and
you're
I think we could tax billionaires
so
their
you're
wealth to
saying
do that.
Beyonce, who just became a billionaire, she has to break you off something every year? She has to pay the politicians.
It's not me. It's the American public.
You're
Beyonce,
the one
I
that
think,
wants
would
the
be
money.
happy to be able to contribute back to the public schools that she went to. I think she'd be happy to invest in good roads in her community. I think she'd be happy to pay a little bit more so that everybody had a little bit more.
You're reaching a little deep into the pockets,
to be defending
Abdul.
billionaires from your channel, Jesse. That's a crazy thing. I thought you were for. I'm just saying. Look, at the end of the day, I thought you were for the everyday man. Like if you're for billionaires more than you're for every other person, well, you and I are just going to disagree.
No, I just think I have the right to the fruits of my own labor. That's America. It's not communist what you're talking about.
No, the problem
Let
with
me
it,
ask
Jesse,
you
is
about
you and I both know
socialized health care.
Billionaires don't make money. Let me just answer the question.
Sure.
No, let me go back to that.
Go ahead.
Billionaires don't make their money off of their labor. That, I think, is where you head off. Billionaires that make their money off their money. So if you have $1 billion, your billion makes another 100 million. That's not the fruits of your labor. That's just the fruits of your money making money. I think it's okay. Like if we tax you at 7%, you're still gonna make what, a cool $30 million off your $1 billion. I think it's okay. They're gonna be okay, Jesse.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea of politicians like you capping how much money people make in America. That's just me. We can have the voters in Michigan decide.
Good.
I'm okay with letting the voters decide on that because I think, like, when you look at like what percentage of the population is a millionaire or billionaire, I don't know what the numbers are. I'm going to guess it's a lot lower than we think. I'm just throwing that out there.
Less than 1%. It was. We looked it up.
Probably
I think
so.
I looked it up last time. It was like there's like 500 billionaires in the United States.
Okay, so yeah, but the problem is, and we've talked about this before, in America, there's this weird thing where like everybody thinks that they're only one good break away from being a billionaire themselves. So like you'll have somebody that makes 50 grand a year that is like, I don't want them taxing the billionaires because like secretly they think they could become a billionaire. Where in reality it ain't happening.
There's anywhere between 989 to 1135 billionaires
out of 330 billion.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
less.
so.
It's less than 0.0001.
So what's the trick? What's the trick that like I'm going to say Fox News Republicans like they convince people that make under 100 grand to get outraged at us wanting to tax the billionaires? Like I don't understand how they convince them of that.
The Republicans have been doing this since I was a kid.
I don't get it. Like,
yeah.
If you're a billionaire and you're like, hey, I don't want them taxing the billionaires, I get that. You're a billionaire. You want to keep your money. I get it. But if you are a school teacher and you feel that way, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it.
Well, it started off with taxes, just taxes in general, right?
Okay.
That's kind of how they did it. But they don't realize that the taxes aren't for them, for the low middle class people. It's for the wealthy. It's anti-taxes, right? They don't realize that it's like, yeah, they may get a tax break with a Republican, but the billionaires are getting a bigger tax break than what they're getting.
So, I think what you're saying here, tell me if I got you right here, like Donald Trump, for example, will say, I signed legislation for the largest tax cut in American history. And everybody's like, yeah, but like middle class and lower class didn't get a tax cut at all, or sometimes barely got a tax cut. Right. 99% of that tax cut went to the billionaires. But he tells you got a tax cut, and you don't even have to see it reflected in your taxes at the end of the year. You just believe it, and you're like, "Yep, Donald Trump gave everybody a tax cut." Yeah. No, buddy.
And trickle-down economics does not work.
No, and that's what the whole "Make America Great Again" thing. Like in the 50s and 60s, like the highest effective tax rate was way higher than it is today. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like above 50%, and that's when America was great. But then Reagan came in, voodoo economics, trickle-down economics, like. And the whole thing right now with our debt, Donald Trump keeps saying, and Bessent too, like, oh, no, we're not going to raise taxes to take care of our debt because that's what we should do. But they say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to grow our way out of it. We've been saying we're going to grow our way out of the debt for 27 years now, 26 years. And it's not our debt's just exploding. But we think, if we make the economy good, we'll grow as a country, we'll make so much money that our tax revenue will go up. And that's not going to happen. Just
tax the rich. Tax rich.
I feel like that's going to be a winner here soon. The other thing that I pulled on Abdul, we've talked about this a couple times. Fox Sports right now, every night they're talking WNBA, just nonstop, and the trans in women's sports. That's been the headline every night.
I totally forgot. Is there a trans person in the WNBA?
There is not. What there is Sophie Cunningham said something about protecting women in women's sports. I didn't have a problem with what she said. Fox News jumped all over it and tried to get Caitlin Clark to get involved. Caitlin Clark said, I'm staying out of this. I just want to shut up and dribble. And then there's a guy that used to be a basketball player in the NBA named like Enes Kantor, something like that. He's from Turkey. He's a right-wing guy. He's retired now. And he said, on like the social media, he said, I'm going to say that I'm a woman and play in the NBA. And now they're having him on like he was on Laura Ingraham tonight. And they're like, so you're saying that you're a woman and you want to play in the NBA? Democrats shouldn't have a problem with that. It doesn't matter what Democrats think, and it doesn't matter what Republicans think. What is your solution to the whole who plays in what sport? You have a great one.
Yeah, it's let the leagues figure it out. Whatever league it is, they can decide. And
Exactly.
hold on, how old is this gentleman?
Probably 35 to 40, I'm going to guess.
Oh, okay. So he's still okay.
Yeah. So anyhow, I've told you, I very much agree with you on that. Like, let the leagues decide. I don't want the government getting involved in a sport at all. Like, even like when the steroid scandal happened in baseball back in like the late 90s, like those baseball players got hauled in front of Congress to testify. Why? I don't understand what Congress has to do with this at all. The NFL keeps getting hauled in front of Congress because of like the broadcast deals they make. I don't get why the government's regulating this at all. That's the Republican in me. I don't want
the broadcasting thing is part of the government.
Is it because it's on local airwaves?
Well, because it's it's partially monopolizing the viewership, but also it is what is it? What is the broadcasting? Our broadcasting.
The FEC.
The FCC, yeah.
FEC, yeah.
FCC? FCC.
No, FCC, yeah.
FCC, yeah. So yeah, it's part of the FCC, right?
Well,
and I think the NFL. I think we should all strike the NFL at some point because of this. Because like it's ridiculous. Like I can't watch a game.
Let the market dictate it. Like that's capitalism. You let the free market. If the NFL, like the most recent thing they got hauled in front of Congress for was, and I hate this, like I pay for the NFL package on YouTube. I pay like $400 for a season to get every game. But then some games are streamed exclusively on Hulu or on Prime or on Netflix. So not only do I pay $400 a year for the NFL package, but I also have to have a subscription to all these different streaming services because I don't get every game, and that's what I pay for is to get every game. So that's stupid. That's what they got hauled in front of Congress for last time. But that's bad business practice. If I get that upset about it, I'll stop giving my money to YouTube TV or to ultimately to the NFL. I don't want the government getting involved in that. But real quick, back to men and women's sports. Let's hear Abdul El Sayed's answer on this because you and him think a lot alike.
What about that?
So the question, so again, like Jesse, you have not asked me one time about the issues that people actually care about in Michigan. You don't want to talk about gas prices. You don't want to talk about groceries. You don't want to talk about healthcare. You don't want to talk about the stupid trade war that's about to destroy Michigan's economy.
We spent the whole interview talking about that stuff.
That's destroying, that is destroying our own military. You don't seem to want to talk about any of those things. You want to bring up all this culture war. That, I'm not here to
we
fight
talked about the war. We talked about gas prices and the Green New Deal, okay? If you want to do an interview,
I brought them up every time.
You can do the interview,
you're
okay?
Asking me, like, you're doing the greatest hits, Jesse. Like, I mean, this is, like, you could play this game if you want, but, like, you can keep doing the greatest hits if you want. You told me we were going to come on for a conversation, and when we have conversations, I think it's okay to also ask questions. I just want to understand what you're getting at here.
I'm getting at whether you think men should play in women's sports.
As the next U.S. Senator in Michigan,
it's a big issue.
I'm interested in getting money out of politics, putting money in your pocket, and passing Medicare for all.
You're filibustering,
most people don't care about what sports kids play. And
you're filibustering.
No, I'm just
it's a big issue
because, like, I want
you
to
guys
talk about
kind of lost on that issue last time.
Deserve to hear about.
All right, so you want to answer that question?
What issue?
You want to answer the question?
What issue? Go ahead, Jesse. What issue?
Should men play women's sports? You have daughters, right?
I think that. Look, I played sports my whole life. Sports were an important part of my life. I'm grateful for the opportunity to play sports. And at the end of the day, the decision of who gets to play what sports ought to be decided by the people who govern sports. I'm running for U.S. Senate. Jesse, it's insane. I'm out here trying to take on, like, the healthcare crisis in Big Pharma, and you're asking me about who gets to play what sports. It's silly. People can't take you seriously.
It's kind of a big thing if you've been following the news recently, Abdul. Let me ask you about the politics. We'll get to your race. Let's do your race.
If you've been following the news recently, it's kind of a big thing. No, it's been a huge thing on Fox News. If you don't watch Fox News, you don't have any clue this is going on. Maybe if you're on the right TikTok or Facebook algorithm, you're seeing the Fox News clips. Those are the only people talking about it. His answer there was great. I'm running for U.S. Senate. I'm trying to take on Big Pharma. I'm trying to get things done for the people. Why are you asking me about women's sports? Let the governing body of each league decide who plays in what sport. It doesn't have anything to do with the government. I love that answer. Overall, and I didn't get to see the actual full interview. I just saw a bunch of clips. But I got to say, I'm impressed by Abdul El Sayed. He seems to be a very skilled politician. He came prepared. Jesse Waters never tripped him up. Props to him.
Hold on, hold on. He's he was a good debater in that debate against Jesse Waters, I don't think Jesse Waters is a great debater.
Yeah.
I've never seen him in a debate because he's always surrounding himself with people who agree with him, except for what's her name, and she railroads him every time.
Well, and real quick, so Jesse Waters on his show, and I haven't seen him do this in a while, but back in the day, he would always have on like the dumbest Democrat you could, like a surfer dude from California and he'd be like, oh, well, let's have a Democrat on now to discuss this. And then he would steamroll them, but he was like picking the dumbest person in the world to be like the face of the Democrats. And no wonder people would watch Fox News and be like, man, the left are all nuts. And it's like, well, hold on. That guy that he just showed you is not an accurate representation of a Democrat, first of all. But
did you pull Asayed on Hannity? Or did I see that on my own?
You might have seen that. I don't remember seeing that, honestly.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it was him, and Handy just wouldn't allow him to answer. Like Handy just kept asking him the same thing. Like, you're not answering the question, you're not answering the question, and Handy just kind of railroaded him, but like in not a great way. Like,
when Jesse Waters tried to control the interview and like men and women sports and like stick on those things, and Abdul El Sayed kept changing it back to gas cost and grocery cost, inflation, all that stuff. And in that clip, Jesse Waters was like, what are you talking about? We've been talking about this whole time. I don't know if you caught it, but Abdul El Sayed, he said, yeah, we're talking about it because I keep bringing it up. Like, you're not asking me about these things. So he managed to control what the interview was covering and not let Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters was trying desperately to keep it on certain topics, and Syed wouldn't do it. And I'm going to say, I think Syed must be a good debater because I saw clips of him versus Haley Stevens, and he dominated that debate. And he is calling out Mike Rogers, his Republican opponent right now, to have a debate before the midterms, and Mike Rogers is not going to do it. I saw a thing the other day where, like, in the past year, elected Democrats in the House and Senate have held it was like 980 something town halls across the U.S. Republicans have held 7. Like, they don't want 7. They don't want to get in front of their constituents. They can't answer the tough questions right now. If they go up on a debate stage, it's gonna, like, the moderators, even if they're completely unbiased, like, they got to call them out when they're lying. If they say, oh, Donald Trump has brought the grocery prices down, the moderator has to say, hey, that's not factually true, and they can't risk that happening. So
yeah.
So yeah,
that's kind of sad. They should have to run. You actually have to like agree to debates. Like, it should be the case, right? And
yeah.
Didn't Tallarico challenge what's his corn into a debate?
Tallarico's been like openly doing it. Like, they're releasing open letters to Paxton, like begging him for a debate, and Paxton will not do it. So
yeah, because
they're scared.
He's gonna get steamrolled on it.
They don't have facts on their side. It's really hard to debate when all the facts are against you, and that's kind of where they are right now. So, anyhow, like I said, I am now a fan of Abdul El Sayed. I hope he wins his race. After watching tonight, I don't see what everybody's talking about how the left really blew their chance in Michigan. Like, if he can keep getting out there and letting people know what he's all about, I think he's got a shot for sure. It's going to be close. Michigan's going to be close no matter what, but I think he's got a shot. So. Anyhow,
that's good. Let's go. Let's go. Senate seats.
The last 2 things I have are economy related. Do you have anything you want to talk about before I knock these out?
I've got a couple of things, but what do you want to talk
about? Canada tariffs and the economic D-Day on Iran.
All right, go for it.
Okay. So the Canada tariffs are the new dumbest thing we're doing. We got into this trade war with Canada a year ago, and then because things started ratcheting up higher than Trump wanted to deal with, and if you remember, the Canadians were boycotting all American liquor and whiskey and stuff. There were a couple, like Canada, who has a way smaller economy, and like really, Donald Trump's not lying when he says they need us more than we need them, but they have that new prime minister, Mark Carney, who he used to run like the World Bank or something. He's a smart dude. And he went out immediately and started forming new trade relationship with the European Union mainly, but then like China and Japan and India. Like, he went out and signed a bunch of deals to basically replace the U.S. in their trade. The U.S. did not like that at all. So then we came to a compromise and we agreed to pause the tariffs while we work out a new trade deal. By the way, the trade deal we're trying to replace is the USMCA, which was signed into law by Donald Trump in 2018. Donald Trump negotiated it, or his people did. And when he signed it, he said, "Oh, we were getting screwed before, but this is the greatest trade deal ever." Suddenly, his own trade deal isn't good, and he says we're getting screwed. So now it's on to a new trade deal. And this is from Trump the other day. Canada has been ripping off the United States of America for years. Their ridiculously high tariffs on our farmers and farm products has made life impossible for these great American patriots and long created a $60 billion deficit between the two countries. Not sustainable and not anymore. On January 1st, 2027, tariffs on all cars, trucks, both large and small, automotive parts, steel, will be increased to 50%. I'm going to stop there. The part of the reason he did this is the car manufacturers were begging him because, like, auto parts, and I don't fully understand how this works, but they go back and across the border. Like, they'll, like, a small part gets shipped to Canada where it gets incorporated into a bigger piece, a bigger device, and then it gets shipped back to America to get incorporated, and then it gets shipped back again. All this happens, it goes across the border several times before it ends up in your vehicle. I don't understand why that happens. It just happens that way.
And that's why cars are $50,000.
Yes, it's foolish, but like steel and aluminum, we have to get from Canada. Like we don't make that here. The other stuff,
We
like
make steel here, but we ship it.
we make because it's
we
apparently our steel here isn't the quality of other steel. Like we get better steel from other countries. I don't understand how this works, but we make cheaper steel and sell it to cheaper countries, something like that. Anyhow, he said in that tweet that effective January 1st. What's funny is the trade broke down. The trade negotiations broke down on Friday night. We actually learned about it from Canada first. Canada pulled their representatives, told them to leave America. We're done. We're not talking to America anymore. Apparently, they had a deal all set up. They were finalizing like the last few sticking points, and then Howard Nuttlich showed up. Late entry into the deal and started demanding all kinds of extra stuff. At that point, Mark Carney pulled them out. The demands they were asking, some of these seem ridiculous, but Canada put this out, and America hasn't said that any of this is not true.
So, zoom in on this.
So a veto over strategic infrastructure partnerships. Basically, they don't want Canada to be able to have a deal with a country we don't like. We want to be able to veto any other trade deals they do. So if they want to deal with China, no, we can veto that. So basically taking away their ability to make their own independent trade deals in addition to our trade deal.
This is what Nuttlich brought in?
This was all the demands that they said they couldn't do. And apparently Nuttlich brought in several of these. Preemptive trade restrictions on non-U.S. nations. Canada must align with U.S. sanctions, export controls, and import tariffs on third country nations, giving up the right to set independent foreign trade policy. So basically, we're going to control their trade policy. The one that was interesting to me, if you go down to number, where is it? Where's the one about?
Holy moly. Go to number 7. Dismantling agricultural safeguards. U.S. demands removal of Canadian supply management systems for dairy, eggs, and poultry sectors and automatic adoption of U.S. chemical and pesticide standards. Holy.
So
that's insane.
You know how we can't sell our beef or chicken to Europe because of the antibiotics and whatnot that are in it? Same with Canada. And basically we want them to remove all that so that they'll start buying our beef, chicken, bread. Like even our bread can't be sold in Europe.
No, but this is saying that they're going to remove the supply management system for dairy.
Basically, because like I said, right now they can't even buy our beef because they won't allow the chemicals that we have in our beef. So we're making them remove all their safeguards.
But yeah, so does that mean that if you own a farm in Canada, you can use all these pesticides and crap?
Well, it could mean that, but the way we mean it is because right now, like they would love to buy our beef, but they can't because our beef tests positive for certain things that are not allowed in Canada. So they want to get rid of that regulation to where there's no more testing the beef. Just take our beef. Take our beef and trust us.
I started washing all my fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, we do that.
So I started doing like a mixture of vinegar and baking soda, and when I bring it home to the grocery, I soak it for a while and then rinse it off, and it tastes better.
So my wife bought this like cool little set of like nesting things that like you soak it in and then the like a strainer comes out of it. And like as soon as we get home from the grocery store, she's vinegar. She doesn't use baking soda, I think, but vinegar and water, soaks it in that, rinses it real good. Apparently they stay fresh longer, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she does that. But real quick on this list, back up to number 5 for me because this is the one that I thought was interesting. Elimination of cultural and language protections. U.S. demands to dismantle Canadian content quotas, roll back the Online Streaming Act, and exempt U.S. goods and digital services from provincial language laws, specifically targeting Quebec's French language protections. So in Quebec, Quebec has 2 national languages, English and French, because it was a French colony long ago. And if you're going to sell goods, if you're going to do anything in Quebec, it has to like have the ingredients or the instructions or whatever in both English and French. That's their rules. We don't like that, so we're making them change their language laws because we don't want.
Why don't we like that?
Because we don't want to have to print stuff in French, man. So, anyhow, priority allocation of Canadian energy, number 10, requirement for policy allocations and price guarantees on Canadian crude oil, natural gas, hydroelectricity, and nuclear energy exported to the U.S. So we have to agree to like basically sell them energy for whatever they want, whatever America wants Canada to sell it for. They don't even get to dictate the price.
This is all crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
no wonder they
I
said no.
encourage our readers to listen to all this. I mean, there's something about the military. Binding military and Arctic mandates. I mean, we've already combined our military with the Dark Force, so
Yeah.
What are we gonna? So now they want to control the Canadian military?
Yeah.
This is wild, man.
And Donald Trump said after all this happened, he goes, well, the problem is they want to be treated like a state and have all the benefits of being a state without actually being a state. Maybe if they just became the 51st state, then all their problems would go away. What he's trying to do is he's trying to like harm them to the point of trying to make them concede and become a state. Mark Carney, their PM, he gave a long press conference, took a lot of questions right the next day after all this blew up, and he said some of these things that America's doing are specifically to target certain areas of Canada because like there is like I can't remember I don't know the different states or provinces in Canada, but like there's one of them that is pretty MAGA. It's like in the country in Canada, out on the western side, and like a lot of people in that area would like to be part of America. And he said basically that the tariffs and whatnot that he's doing is specifically to drive a wedge between that group and the rest of Canada to try to cause infighting. The only clip I pulled, Mark Carney's a well-spoken guy.
Hold on, I want to read one more because I just read this one and it's pretty nuts.
Go ahead.
Dispute settlement changes. This is number 13. U.S. pushing for stronger investor-state dispute mechanisms that could allow foreign companies to challenge Canada laws and regulations.
Yeah. We want
So
them
they
to
control their laws. A lot, like
It
okay.
don't make no sense. Even on the language one, which was number 5, they wanted them to roll back the Online Streaming Act. Like, from what I saw, the Online Streaming Act is aimed at like not having smut on TV for kids. Like they have better rules for social media and online than we do at protecting like young people, especially.
Yeah.
Europe does this too, and we don't like it at all because if you're running TikTok or Facebook or one of those companies, like you have to pay extra attention and do things in Europe and Canada that you don't have to do in America to make sure that bad material's not on there, basically. And JD Vance has been bitching about that for a while. He wants Europe to undo all their rules and just the internet should be free, freedom of speech. And it's like, no, some of these countries actually care about kids in their country and online bullying. So,
yes.
Anyhow, all right, real quick, one clip from Mark Carney. Just pay attention. He's well spoken, but what he says at the very end of this clip is what got my attention.
We've been under no illusions. We recognized from the start that America has changed. Early last year in this room, I observed that the decades-long process of steadily increasing integration between our economies was over. Our government understood before many that America would transform all of its commercial relationships, that it would put a series of tariffs on its closest allies and use economic integration as a weapon. We recognize that sometimes its signature was written in pencil.
The U.S. is the G-man of the world.
Yeah, well, sometimes their signature can be written in pencil, basically meaning that we break our word, and we've been doing that constantly. And even right now, we have a trade agreement with Canada that Donald Trump's the one that engineered, and now we're breaking that and throwing all these tariffs on them. So, yeah, Canada's doing all right. I'll say this in that speech also, he said that they've been looking for and creating new partnerships with many countries around the world. And he said every country's been pleasurable to deal with except for Russia and the United States. Those are the two that he singled out that aren't good trading partners. Everybody else has been cool. China is more than happy to get a trade relationship going with Canada. Anyhow, so look forward to that. Now, also, he had said, I think I mentioned this, but he had said over the weekend that these tariffs were going to start on Monday. And this is trade war starts Monday. Well, then when he put out his tweet today, he suddenly is saying January 1st, wisely, because the midterms are coming right now. And I'm sure everybody ran to him, Bessent, Lutnick, all them, and said, sir, like, if you start a trade war right now, this is bad for us. So that's why he's putting it off till January 1st. But anyhow.
Interesting.
So, and then on top of the, new tariffs on Canada that don't take effect till January 1st, we had a D-Day today. You wouldn't know it, but Scott Bessent said last week that we were doing economic D-Day. His tweet, President Trump has dismantled Iran's military capabilities, destroyed nearly 100% of its military factories, and buried its nuclear program. We are now entering the endgame. At dawn begins an economic D-Day, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against an adversary. The Islamic Republic has subsisted by dressing extortion as security guarantees. It has drawn strength from a calculus that regards Iranian retaliation as certain and American enforcement as negotiable. Under President Trump, that era is over, and those who fear the danger of defying Tehran ought not to discount the cost of testing Washington. President Trump has created conditions to leverage every agency, every authority, and every action many assumed we would never summon. Our objective is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains the tyrannical regime until Tehran stands alone. That was a hard one to read. Turns out what we're doing is exactly what we're doing to Cuba. I hate to spoil it for you. We've been doing it to Cuba for 70 years, and they still haven't broken to our will. But that's what we're doing. Right before his press conference today at 1 to announce the economic D-Day, they released a list, and I think it was like 60 different people, ships, and companies that are getting sanctioned because they help facilitate Iran's sale of oil.
Are any of them Russian?
No. So what's interesting here, and we talked about this last time, but there were two countries that totally skated on all this. Can you guess what those two countries were?
Russia and China.
The only two that matter, okay? And apparently we're not going to do anything about that.
Giving military information to them.
What's that?
They're the ones that are giving military information to them.
Yeah, giving them satellite imagery to help target our bases. Ryan Grimm from Dropsite, I'm going to read this real quick, but he said, Treasury sanctioned nearly 60 people, entities, and vessels Monday, targeting Iran's global financial and economic connections, but spared major Chinese refiners and institutions. Trump declared Iran was completely collapsing, and Bessent called the pressure campaign an economic D-Day. But China remains Iran's largest oil customer. Even as it imports, Iranian oil have dropped about 534,000 BPD so far in August, down from 823 BPD in July, blah, blah, blah. So he's dead on right here. If we're not going to do anything to China, then what are we doing? It doesn't even matter at this point. I will say this, Bessent's press conference was very funny to me. Several reporters straight out asked him, hey, what about China? Like, and they phrased it better than that. And he just kept dodging the question. Like, he refused to say the word China. Like, the question would be specifically about China. And then he would say, oh, well, we're treating everyone the same, but we're not, because we've already announced the first round of sanctions and China's not on there. That's all that needs to be. If you somehow find a way to stop China from buying Iran's oil, that would be you don't have to worry about all the other little people. China is what's keeping them afloat. This would be easy. I did pull one clip of Bessent having to do with China. I'd like to play for you real quick.
David from Reuters.
Hi, thanks, Secretary. One of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal is the ability to impose secondary sanctions on banks and financial institutions that facilitate transactions for Iran. Chinese banks have often been talked about being targeted, but we don't see any of those institutions targeted here. Is that something that is coming in this campaign, or is the very delicate trade truce with China something that could prohibit you from going that far and taking that very big step?
We want to make clear here today that no one is above the reach of U.S. sanctions. That if they facilitate transactions and are part of the ecosystem that turns Iranian oil into money, into repression, they will be targeted. We find that the best way to engage with countries is through quiet diplomacy, and we are level setting with every country to tell them our expectations. We know who they are, they know who they are, so when the hammer of U.S. Treasury actions falls upon them, they will have no one to blame but themselves. So.
I had hope for him. Like when I found out he lived in a pink Barbie house, and I thought maybe he was going to be some kind of voice of reason, but he is a complete skis ball.
So if you remember during the confirmation of all the Senate candidates, like he was the one that Democrats didn't even fight. And everybody was like, nah, Scott Bessent is the adult in the room. So he's good. So he passed with flying colors. Wasn't a hard confirmation. Everybody agreed with you that, hey, at least Scott Bessent knows Wall Street. He'll make sure things don't go wrong financially was what we thought. A couple of things he said there. First of all, so when these countries feel the hammer of, the American might or whatever he said, American economic might, like they'll know that it was their fault is basically what he said. I'll put money on it right now that China's never going to see that hammer. We're going to keep talking about our expectations, but China's not going to listen and we're not going to do anything about it. We, at several points in the past 6 months dealing with Iran, we've said that all these countries buying oil from Iran should stop. And quietly, China has ships going back and forth to Iran, constantly taking out oil, and we're not stopping them at all. Like we're afraid to do anything to China here. The other thing there, he said, we prefer to, I can't remember how he worded it, but he basically said, we prefer quiet diplomacy instead of no, what, you work for Donald Trump, quiet diplomacy? Like, I'm sure that's what you would prefer, but Donald Trump doesn't do that with most countries. Maybe he's going to do that with China here.
He does that with zero countries. He doesn't do that he didn't do that with the Iran war.
No, not at all.
Not quiet diplomacy. Did he do that with Venezuela? That's not quiet diplomacy. There's no quiet diplomacy in this administration.
Well, Scott Bessent said that the countries that haven't been sanctioned yet, President Trump is on the phones right now talking to leaders of those countries to get them to stop. So theoretically, that would be Russia and China. And I don't see China doing it at all. Russia, a deal could be had, I think, and it would involve us totally bailing on Ukraine. Like we totally bail on Ukraine, they totally bail on Iran. Like that's the deal. The only way it could possibly work to where Russia listens to us on this one. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to bail on Ukraine. So
no.
Anyhow, the only other
what I want is us to just back out of this war. Like Trump claim victory and back out of this war and let things go back to normal.
The thing is, if we just go home right now, the Strait of Hormuz, gas will always be a little bit more expensive because they'll just tax everything going in and out of the strait. Which right now that is best case scenario, but it's not. It's not going back to the way it was before the war. Like we're past that. That's not happening. So,
yeah.
Anyhow, I pulled one other clip of Bessent. This was at the very end of the press conference. This whole thing's worth listening to, but at the end, when he finally says, "Okay, thanks everybody, I'm leaving," listen to what the reporters are yelling at him because it's awesome.
Let's see. You in the front.
You described this as an economic D-Day, but D-Day wasn't a threat of an invasion, and the U.S. didn't give a timeline to Germany. So why not impose the sanctions today?
Well, we are giving everyone the opportunity to remedy bad behavior. Why would I want to blow up the global financial system? We believe that it is important to level set and give people a cure period, but they should know that will move very quickly and that we are serious. Secondary sanctions are a very powerful tool, and we here at Treasury, this is Gene Lang, the Acting Undersecretary for Terrorism Finance, and in the Terrorism Finance Department and at OFAC, the reason we are able to use secondary sanctions is because we do not take their use lightly. So we believe that a warning shot and a level set of expectations is appropriate. And if people do not want to meet our expectations, then we expect, and they should expect, that they will leave the dollar system. Okay? Thank you all.
Is this an acknowledgement that the war can't be run militarily? Is this an acknowledgement that the war can't be run militarily?
I didn't really hear what she said.
Does this mean that you're admitting we can't beat Iran militarily? She yelled that a couple times at him as he left. Real quick, the jig is up right there in that answer. Okay, if you're every other country, there was a key part there in the middle. They said, why aren't you just imposing these sanctions now? Why are you putting it on a delay? And he said, well, I'm giving people a chance to correct. Why would I want to blow up the global economic system if I don't have to? So he's admitting that if we did go through with all these, it would possibly blow up the global economic system. That sounds like he doesn't want to have to do this. It sounds like we're bluffing. If you're every other country that has the risk of being sanctioned here for doing deals with Iran, and you heard that, I guarantee you they all heard that little point right there of,
he basically just told everybody he's bluffing.
100%.
These are the dumbest people you could possibly put as the leader of the free world.
We're giving everybody a chance to level set and correct what they're doing. Why would I want to blow up the global economic system? So, okay. Let's see how many of these individuals, ships, entities, countries, let's see how many of them correct their ways and don't get the sanctions put on them. And let's see if we ever actually go through with the sanctions. Like, I'm starting to think right now, these 60 people and whatnot that we just listed today, I think some of them will. The people that don't matter will get sanctioned, but China and Russia and India, for example, no, they're not getting sanctioned. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So, and he said we're going to kick them out of the global dollar, using the dollar for petro sales, which is something we insist upon. And there's a group, the BRICS countries, it's like 7 countries, are trying to basically convince everybody else to stop using the dollar for it's called the petrodollar, but it's what gives the dollar its strength. J.D. Vance was on stage like a week ago, and he was like, actually, I've heard some good arguments why the dollar shouldn't be the global reserve currency. And it's like, whoa, I would love to hear why you're saying that. Like, is that your position? Are you going to run on that in 2028? Like, that would be disastrous for America. And you saying you've heard some good arguments for why we should let that happen?
That means he has information that it's actually happening. That
maybe he's trying to get out ahead of it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary because what, they're going to go to the Chinese yen?
The yen is really if it weren't going to be the dollar, I think the way it's going to go is that it's going to be a free for all. Like, some of it's going to be done in crypto, some of it's going to be done in the yen. Like, the reason the reason that we've convinced everybody to do it in the dollar is because the dollar doesn't fluctuate very much. Like, some currencies are volatile and fluctuate a lot. The dollar is pretty stable, so that's why everybody agreed to do it in the dollar, because it makes sense. From the time you order the shipment of oil to the time it gets here, the value of the dollar is not going to change a whole lot. It's kind of the reasoning behind it. So, I don't know, whatever you can agree upon. Iran wants to be paid in crypto is what they want, so we'll see. There is, real quick, we've got 2 clear frontrunners emerging in the job to replace Carolyn Levitt. Have you heard anything about who's possibly up there?
You said Scott Bessent.
Scott Jennings.
Scott Jennings, that's right.
Yes.
Who else could it be?
Alina Habba. And if I were Trump, hear me out. Alina Habba was she was one of his lawyers, but she was really like the spokesperson for his legal team when he was in all those charges in New York and in Miami. I think she did real estate law previous to joining Trump's legal team. So she's not a criminal defense lawyer, but she's very attractive. I'm a blonde. I'm a pale blonde kind of guy. Alina Habba is not my type, but I can tell you she's like 42 and she's pretty cute. Donald Trump talks all the time about every one of his cabinet people. He mentions, it's like they were straight out of central casting. He uses the word central casting a lot. He likes people that look the part, and her appearance is the only reason she had anything to do with his legal team. I think and also she's a former lawyer. She's good at talking. I think it's going to be her, is my thought. And plus, he tried to make her the U.S. attorney for New Jersey, And then I think the courts got involved and said it was an illegal appointment. And then it went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said he couldn't appoint her. So she's been just hanging out at Mar-a-Lago. Every time he's at Mar-a-Lago and there's video of it, she's in the background. But I don't think she has a government job right now. Like, I don't know. She's just there. They need to stick her somewhere. Scott Jennings is too valuable to them on CNN because he's out there battling every night. So why would you take him away from that? Leave him where he is. Lena Habba's sitting there doing nothing from what I can tell. So I think she's going to get the job. But
I did hear that Matt Gaetz was trying to bid for this job.
Yeah, that's funny, but I don't think there's any way that happens. But apparently Scott Jennings has been trying to sell himself to the White House. He's doing meetings with Susie Wiles. Like, he wants the job, which I think is foolish. I don't know why he would want it. But if you pay attention to his radio show, which I don't watch his radio show, watch it or listen to it, but I see clips from occasionally, he's gotten a lot more, like, he's trying to prove that he'll defend anything. I think he's auditioning for this role because he wants it so bad. I said earlier in the show, right at the beginning, that I know a lot of MAGA people and nobody's trying to defend the Iran war. Like, I've yet to meet one. Let's hear Scott Jennings give it his all.
And I believe this announcement may confirm something that many in our political class refuse to acknowledge. The United States has won the war against Iran. Wars are won when one side achieves its strategic objectives and the other loses the ability to achieve its own. Iran entered this war with four great pillars of strength: its nuclear program, its missiles and drones, its regional terror network, and its ability to hold the world economy hostage through the Strait of Hormuz. Every one of those pillars has been severely damaged or outright destroyed.
That's a complete lie.
Okay, so every one of those. Okay, so their nuclear program might be buried. The thing is, we don't really know. They might have already. There's rumors, and America apparently thinks that they might have moved all their nuclear material to Pickaxe Mountain, which we haven't bombed yet. And like, they were trying to get him to bomb Pickaxe Mountain in the last month or so. So we don't know about the nuclear program. Their missile and drone they're still launching missiles and drones.
I heard
daily.
they still have 70% of their missiles.
It seems like we haven't wiped that out. That's you could say we wiped out their Navy or their Air Force. I hear you, but their missiles and drones seem to be still functioning pretty good. And then their ability to choke off the world's oil supply in the Strait of Hormuz, they're currently doing it. They're doing it right now. What do you mean they can't do it anymore? Like, they're doing it. I know that Donald Trump says that we control the Strait. It's not the reality.
What was the other pillar?
The four pillars were their nuclear program, missile and drone, their proxies, their terrorist proxies in the region, mainly Hezbollah and Hamas. And Hezbollah and Hamas right now are severely downgraded because of Israel, but they're also, it's kind of like Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Like, you can never fully exterminate them. Like, they'll go back and regroup and be back. So right now, yes, they are being hampered. Give it time. And I hope that they never come back because they're bad organizations, but just saying. And then the fourth was the Strait of Hormuz, which they're currently blockading. So
yeah, I mean, like, let's go with that. We won. Let's pull out. Let's stop. Let's stop all this craziness. Let's go back to normal.
Complete victory. If you remember, Donald Trump said many times at the beginning of this war that he will only accept unconditional surrender from Iran. And now we're at a point where MAGA's like, hey man, just say you won and go home. It's fine. And like, that's probably what we're going to end up with. Like, I think we're there.
When was the last normal?
What do you mean by normal?
Was it like 2015? Like the last American normal?
No, because
America is normal.
2014 and 2015, there were riots. The kid in outside of St. Louis, Michael Brown, I think was his name. The one that supposedly got shot when he had his hands up, but then it turns out he probably didn't have his hands up. Ferguson was the name of the city. It was right outside of St. Louis. And so 2014, 2015 were a little rough. Like, they weren't great.
13?
Depends, because if you were a Republican from 2009 to 2016, that whole time was awful. You hated it.
It was so good, though. It was so good.
Depends on what side you're on, man. I'm saying half the country thought that those years were awful. There's a Muslim running the country, for God's sake. Born in Kenya.
Obama made the stock market good after Bush crashed it.
But he was born in Kenya, Docs. You're not hearing me, okay?
Oh, my gosh.
So, and then but that's the thing is, it's easy to look back with like the rose glasses and be like, oh, things were better 10 years ago. No, things during the Obama years weren't that great. Things
They
during
were
the
good towards the end. Like he had 8 years. The first 4 sucked, but
last two sucked also. So there was a 2 years in the sweet
why
spot
did
in
the
the middle.
last 2 suck?
That was all the protests in Ferguson, and I mean there was.
But protests are fine. I would rather have protests than what's going on right now.
Okay,
I would rather have protests than Donald Trump at the helm during COVID. I would rather have protests than the first term of Donald Trump. I would rather have protests than anything that's happened since the protests.
So protests, I don't have a problem with. Peaceful protests all day long. It's what America's all about. What was happening in Ferguson, for example, was like militarized police. There were battles in the street. I remember there were battles in the street every night, and I would watch it on CNN until like 1 in the morning, and cops throwing flashbangs and stuff at the protesters. It was out of hand. It was not good. It was something that we should not want to happen on a nightly basis in America. I feel pretty good saying that. But again, okay, if you're a lefty and you liked everything Obama was doing, he was drone striking American civilians in the Middle East.
Okay. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he wasn't 100% great, but
Okay.
it was
But
at
I'm
least
saying-
felt normal.
But before that, we had George W. Bush, where it was Iraq and Afghanistan, which, by the way, Iraq and Afghanistan were still going on during Obama. We had that going on. We had the financial collapse. We had the first part of Obama's term was the bailout of all the auto industry and the mortgage companies.
Y2K.
Like even like we were young in the 90s, so we weren't paying attention, but I'll bet it's one of those where
Was Clinton normal? Clinton might have been the most normal thing we've had. The
Well,
last normal thing we had.
Clinton only had a sex scandal, so that was probably right. If I could go back to the days of our president only possibly getting it on with an intern, I guess that's better than what we have now.
But that's when the Democrats and Republicans were kind of working together with Clinton. They started bringing down the deficit.
They balanced. It was the last time we had a balanced budget in America. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, but before that, you had a recession in 91, 92 that Clinton had to pull us out of. Before that, what was in the 80s? 80s, you had the crack epidemic. So, that was going on. The 70s, a lot going on there. My argument is that I think that, like, even when people look back at the 50s and they're like, we need to make America great like it was in the 50s. For a lot of people, it sucked in the 50s. Like, if you were a white male in the 50s, it was probably good for you. But if you were anything else, it probably sucked. So,
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't think, the things were pretty good back in 2012. No, they weren't. Like, take us back to 2012 right now, and it probably wasn't as good as we think it was.
It was good for me. 2012 was great.
Yeah. If you're, me and you have this cheat code almost. Some call it a privilege. But a lot of times when things are going on in America, it doesn't affect us. Okay. I mean, I hate to do the whole, like, we're straight white males, but there's a fight over gay marriage. Doesn't affect me. There's a fight over immigrant rights. Doesn't affect me. Like, we have the ability to go on unbothered anytime we choose, because most of what's happening isn't happening to us. Now,
why do we go on being bothered, Andy?
Being unbothered.
But why do we go on being bothered?
Because we have empathy. Because we care about other people.
Stupid empathy.
Yeah. Me and you see something like a migrant family getting tackled in the streets and put on a plane to Libya when they're from Ecuador, and we feel bad for them. Yeah. Not all people feel that. Some people look at that and they're like, yes, like teach them a lesson. I don't know if you saw there's deportation flights now happening daily, taking immigrants from Latin America, but we're taking them to Libya, which is on the west coast of Africa, and we're dropping them off there. Several of these people, their home country is willing to take them back. They send them, we'll take them back. Nope. To teach them a lesson because they came here illegally, we're sending them to Africa.
And just dropping them off in the streets?
Yeah,
or
dropping them there. Prison? I don't know what's happening to them once they get there. No telling. It might be slave labor. I don't know.
Oh, whoa.
I'm just guessing.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Are they do they have phones?
I doubt it. They're probably just getting kicked off the plane. All right. See you later. Yeah. I don't know what happens to them there. We should look into that.
It is a do not travel advisory for Americans.
So in Libya is a crazy, we could get into the history of Libya. By the way, Or sorry, Liberia. I'm saying the wrong country. Liberia, I believe, is the name of it.
Oh, Liberia is where they're doing the slave traffic.
Yeah. Hold on. I hope I have this right. Which country is it that America pretty much created? Yeah, Liberia. Hold
It
on.
is Liberia.
Yeah, so we pretty much founded the country. Like it was an American province, pretty much. The American Colonization Society started it.
Say that one more time.
The American Colonization Society.
Modern day slavery is a significant problem in Liberia today. So we're basically shipping them over there for like possibly becoming slaves. I mean, they don't speak the language.
Yeah, and Liberia has
That's worse than the crazy prison they were sent into in South America.
Liberia is welcoming them. They'll happily take them. Why?
They're probably selling them.
I don't know what's happening to them. I'd love to get a reporter over there to see what's happening to these migrants once they arrive there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You see that feeling that you're having right now, even though this doesn't affect you? That's the difference.
Stupid fucking empathy.
That's the difference between you and some people in America. Some people in America think that this is hysterical.
Oh
it's really
my
weird.
gosh. Was taking migrants into slavery. This is crazy.
On, so let's see here.
Yeah, I gotta figure this out.
This is from the AP. Deportees who refused to exit a U.S. flight in Liberia from 13 hours ago. So they refused to get off the plane when they got there. 6 people who were deported by the United States to Liberia last week resisted getting off the plane and instead were sent to Equatorial Guinea, another African nation that signed a third-party deportation agreement with the Trump administration. They wouldn't get off the plane, so we sent them to a shittier country in Africa.
Even crappier than slavery?
Yeah. Whew.
This is crazy. Oh my gosh,
Like,
we're
the
bad.
fact that that's happening right now, and there's too much other shit to where 90% of Americans have no clue that's going on right now. We're sending Latin American people to Africa, where who knows what's happening. We can't say for sure they're going into slave trade, although that sounds like it could be possible.
Yeah. Wow. Speaking of things that the news is not really talking about, have you heard about what's going on in Indiana?
So actually, so real quick, full disclaimer, you brought this up to me, what, Friday last week?
Yep.
Somewhere around there. And since then, I have been looking for it, and it's actually been covered on CNN. And CNN's what I watch during the day when I'm working. I normally have it on mute.
It is being covered?
It's Gary, Indiana.
Yeah.
And what they said today, actually, is that they think it looks like power is about to come back on in the next day or two, but it's been going on for, I think, 10 to 14 days, somewhere in that range now.
13 days. Today's 13
days. And apparently, I didn't know this, but thanks to CNN covering it, I do. Gary, Indiana is a majority black city in Indiana, and they all seem to think that if they were a white city, their electricity issue would have been fixed by now. But this is happening to them because nobody cares because they're a poor black city. That's what they're saying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the water crisis is still going on in Puerto Rico.
Yep. I mean, they're only a territory. We don't have to worry about that.
Only a territory.
Yeah.
We can't.
We got other things to worry
they're
about.
Americans. There's Americans. We should help them.
We don't let them vote in the presidential election. They're half Americans.
It's been a crisis for 3 weeks now.
Yeah. Fresh water is overrated, man. I don't know. It's like you don't need fresh water. They got an ocean all around them. They're fine.
Well, or power. They're having rolling power outages.
Which that's so, and that's happened for so long that if you remember Bad Bunny during the Super Bowl, his halftime show, it featured because he was trying to bring attention to the fact that their infrastructure there is crap. So
yeah,
that's been going on.
Yeah, why don't we fix their infrastructure?
Because we ain't got the money for it. We got wars to fight, man. You want us to go off spending money fixing infrastructure? We have to defeat Iran. They can never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, docs. Never.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep.
All right, do it. Also, are there fires by you right now? Sorry, I saw that in Reno, apparently Reno, Nevada is about to be like evacuated because of fires that are heading towards Reno. And it
Yeah.
made me, I have an app that our buddy Clint turned me on to called like Watch Duty. And I was like, oh, fires. I haven't heard anything about fires. And then when I looked, like the whole western side of the United States looks like it's on fire right now. Like
Yeah,
that's
there's a lot
not
in like Seattle. We've been getting quite a bit of rain. We've got
okay.
some fires, but nothing. There's a big one. There's a couple big ones, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of fire.
So,
It's that's the craziest thing is that you and Clint will be like, ah, well, it's fire season, so you know what? And it's like you guys just get used to it. It's like, it's pretty smoky out there today from the fires. People where I live, like if we were dealing with that, we'd be panicking and be like, oh my God, like but you guys are
yeah.
just cool about it. It's like,
Well, you're cool about the tornadoes. You're
it's
like,
true.
it's just a tornado.
Did I send you the video of the trampoline that I got the other night?
No.
I woke up, we'd had a violent storm. I woke up and I went out back and like my planter got knocked over. My disc golf basket was all the way in the corner. Like everything was scattered. And I was like, oh, whatever. So I went and worked a little bit and then I went out there to clean up at one point. And when I went out of my back door and turned to the left, there was a whole second trampoline in my yard. Turns out it came from 5 houses away. There's no damage to the fences, so I think it literally got lifted up and flew 5 houses over and then dropped in my yard. It was mangled. I'll send you the video.
Wow.
But yeah, that was just
Awesome.
a typical night in Oklahoma. So anyhow,
Flying trampolines.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, cry yourself to sleep, man. I will talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. Like, subscribe,
Leave
leave
a
us a comment. Send this to your friends.
Love it.
Peace.
Later, buddy.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.